Good morning,นะครับ, everyone. On the last class, when we started our Microsoft Excel, you see like the initial screen like this. On the left-hand side, it is the recently opened files that we have got. In this class, we use like the blank workbook. Most of the time, we use the blank workbook, except we would like to do something new, like we would like to print out or prepare the calendar, or doing something like prepare the receipts or invoice, or doing some chart especially. But normally we begin with the blank workbook. In here, on the last class, we created a file called my first book. Okay, let me just like open it up. Okay, so for this one, on the last class, I introduced the components in Microsoft Excel. For a file in Microsoft Excel, actually, we call it as a workbook. A file in Microsoft Excel, we call it as a workbook. And for my first book here, it is a workbook, or it is a file of Microsoft Excel that we have got. Okay, so I also introduced the components in Microsoft Excel that, okay, we begin with the first one, the top part of the top line of the screen. We call it as the title bar, followed by menu bar. Menu bar can be varied, depends on your setting. On your one, you may not have like developer menu and Acrobat menu. We will just like, for a developer menu, we'll talk about it later on. But for Acrobat, you will have Acrobat menu only when you just like install the software like Adobe Acrobat Creator, in order to create the PDF file. Otherwise, it doesn't show the menu like this. And underneath the menu bar, you have the ribbon that contain the functions or the buttons to just like do the task in Microsoft Excel. Underneath the ribbon, you have the line or the bar that shows just like a couple of things. On the left hand side, it shows the name box that shows the location of the active cell that you have. In the middle one, you have got the function in the insert function button, and on the right hand side, the long white box is called as the formula bar. That shows the formula or the real or original value of each cell that you have got. Underneath, this is our working area. In this one, we call it as a worksheet. In one Excel workbook, you can have many worksheets, but normally the Microsoft Excel, especially for just like quite recent version of Excel, when you start the new workbook, it comes with one default worksheet for you that is called as sheet 1. But if you would like to create more sheets, you can do it easily. Okay, so in a worksheet, the things in one worksheet, it consists of like million of boxes in a worksheet. Each box, we call it as a cell in Microsoft Excel. So each cell consists of data. The data in each cell can be text, can be numbers, can be date, can be currency, can be formula, depends on what you want. So when you just like try to enter the data into a cell in Microsoft Excel, you have to know that each cell, in order to identify the cell, you need to know the location. The location of the cell is the coordination between a column and a row. The column is a letter starting from letter A, B, C. And then we just like, when we finish column Z, we continue with column AA. Actually, we have like thousands of columns in Microsoft Excel. Let's see, on the horizontal way, we have like rows นะครับ rows in Excel consist of numbers นะครับ starting from number 1 so the location of the cell consists of the combination or the coordination between columns and row. We start from the column first. For example, the current cell that I'm using is called as cell A1. Cell A1 is a coordination between column A and row number 1. So every time that you have to use each cell in Microsoft Excel, we always have to just like think about the cell location, because normally most of the time when we have to calculate anything by using Microsoft Excel functions, we usually use the cell location as a part of the function that we have got. Okay. After that, we just learn that, okay, for each worksheet, you can create a new worksheet by just like go to the sheet tab, and then you see the plus sign with a circle. Once you click, it will create a new sheet for you. So normally, in order to separate the data into sheets, it depends on what you want. Sometimes we just like separate the data in terms of months in each sheet. Sometimes 1 year's data in each sheet. Sometimes just like most of the cells are in one sheet and some reference cells are in the other sheet. Depends. Okay, right. So apart from that one, if you would like to enter the data, if you would like to enter the data, you can see that, okay, originally when you type anything in the data, in the worksheet, you can type it straight away. So last time we start entering the data like some text like ABC company and revenue for 2021, and then we start having the table here. For the table here, when you see that some of the data, that is a sequence. For example, if you have number from 1 to 12, you know that you have to enter a number 1 to 12 like this. You don't need to type 1, 2, 3 up to 12 because Excel has the automatic filling up the data for you. The way that we can make Excel to help you to automatically fill up the data, you just like enter some of the patterns of the data that Excel needs to know. For example, if you enter 1 and 2, the next cell that Excel will think about is number 3, because these are just like the natural numbers. Same as month. If you would like to have the automatic filling of month, you have to enter like January and February for Excel. And then when you would like to create some more values, for example, for the numbers here, you have to highlight the cells that are patterned first. For example, in here, I highlight cell that contain the value 1 and 2. Underneath the cell with value 2, you see the the green dot in the bottom right corner. So once you move the mouse pointer over the green dot, you can see that the displaying of the arrow of the cross will be different from the white thick cross to be the thin black cross. When it becomes a black cross, you can drag in order to make Excel to help filling up the data for you, and it shows a bubble on the right hand side that right now what value that when you release the button, when you release the mouse, okay, what value will be created. Right now you can see that on my screen it shows up to value 12. That means it will be automatically fill up the data for me. Suppose I just like say that I put the pattern of data like 1 and 3. So Excel will think that you want the odd numbers. When you just like try to create automatically filling up the data, you can see that all the numbers are odd numbers. something like this. These are just like the way that you would like Excel to automatically fill up the data for you. Same as month นะครับ where you can let Excel to automatically fill up the month's name for you. Apart from that one, if you would like to make 2 columns in order to create the automatically fill up the data for you, can do it at the same time. So I highlight both column A and column B for number and month. Now you can see just like one bottom right green dot only. Then you can drag. You can see that on the first column, it just like automatically running the number. On the second column, it just automatically running the month for you. If you just like misspell the name of the month, Excel will just like confused, and then it just like create the wrong data for you. Then the things that you have to do is that, okay, let me just like show you something. If I just like type some data wrongly, suppose I say that, okay, I mistype February, and then I try to automatically filling up. You can see that in here, it just like show the wrong value, but it will become January, February, March, February, something like that. That is wrong. You have to just like check for the spelling before you just let Excel to judge for automatically filling up the value for you. So for the cells that you don't want the data, we have a couple of ways in order to get rid of the data that you have got. Firstly, you highlight all the cells, and then you just press delete button on your keyboard, or like this, or you can just like highlight the cells that you don't want, right click and then choose clear contents. So why do we have to use this one? You might think that it's just like the basic thing that we know, but one thing that you have to be careful is that never use delete button here. If you just like highlight the cells and then you right click, the menu that is called delete means that you delete the cells with like some other related cells as well. For example, in here, if I choose delete, it will just like pop up to ask me that whether you would like to shift the cell on the left hand side, or shift all the cell up, or entire row or entire column. This one we just like don't want the data only. We don't want to touch the cells, the surrounding cells. So that's why we just like right click and choose clear contents. That should be enough. Okay. So after we have got like the automatically filling up the data like this already, the next one that we did was like the revenue that we manually type in. Bear in mind that if you have the numbers that you want to calculate it later on, like the revenue like this, for sure when it becomes a numbers, we will use them for other purposes as well. For example, you might want to make a graph from this data, or you want to calculate something. So in this one, the way that you have to do in order to enter the data is that you just enter the number only, without having the currency symbol, without having comma. Otherwise, Excel will think that it is just like some other type of data instead. Okay, so in this one, last time I just typed 1755 to 10 only. How do I know what value that we entered? So you can see that currently, in this cell, cell C5, it is show as like $1,755,210 here. But originally, the way in order to see original data is that you click on the cell, and then you may double click. It shows the original data inside, or you just like click on that cell and see in the formula bar. The formula bar show the original value of that data. Okay. So when you just like have this data already, how to notice what are the basic type of data that we have got right now. Okay, you can see that in here I didn't just like do anything to change the data type before. For number and month, we just like play with automatically filling up the data. You can see that number is right aligned while month is left aligned. Any value that is like the right align without setting anything before it is a number. Anything that is just like left aligned by its nature it is text. This is just like the basic thing that we can see. Now let's see suppose I enter I enter a value by myself in the cell C18 I enter $sign 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, let's see what will happen. In this one is left aligned. You see that when it's left aligned, this is a text. Text is not calculatable numbers, or sorry, it is not calculatable values. So that means if you just like want to add 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 with some other numbers, you cannot do that in here. It's different from other revenue that we created because for the rest of them the original values are numbers, but we just like set them up by just like setting the format of the cell. So be careful when you enter the currency values don't enter currency symbol and comma. Okay, right. Okay, then after that we talk about setting the format of the value that you have got. In this example, you can see that for the revenue that we entered, we didn't have any $sign or comma, but we want these symbols to be shown in those cells. The way that we have to do is that we have to set the format of the data that we have got. The way in order to format the data that we have got is that you have to choose those cells first. Right click, and then you see format cells menu. Choose format cells, and then it just like pop up a window for you. There are just like many tabs that you can choose, but right now we are focusing in number tab. For number tab, you have to choose the category of the type of the data that you want to have first. In here, you want it to be shown as a currency, then you have to choose currency. Normally it is shown as general like this. This is general. It doesn't come with any special symbols at all. So in this one we go to currency. We choose currency. After that we just like justify decimal places. I said that I don't have it. I have the decimal places in my original data. I don't want. And then I choose symbol that I want to display. In this one I use dollars in US dollars. Okay. Then it asks you to show how to show negative numbers. In this one I choose the default one, the top one. Okay, then we get the revenue in terms of like currency displaying already. Currency format already. Now the next thing that you have to know is that when you would like to set up the format of the cells that we have got in here, as we would like to create this one as a table, you can see that originally you have just like the width of the column that is like varied. Okay, one thing that I want you to know is that sometimes your data might just like might not be seen on the column like this. I just want you to see my column C. Currently my column C show hash for the revenue of each month. This one there is nothing wrong. When you see a lot of hashes symbols in any cells, it means that the column of that cell is too narrow. Then the value in that cell cannot be shown properly. The hashes happen when you have the column that is the numbers inside นะครับ the cells that you have the numbers inside, while the column that consists of the text, like column B in here, it consists of month. You can see that it doesn't show hashes, even though นะครับ the column is too narrow. For example, you can see that on my screen. Column B cannot show September, November, and December properly. So it's just like cut off the last part that is wider than just like the width of the column, นะครับ while the numbers it show hashes instead. So how do we gonna just like make the column wider? We have like couple of ways in order to make column wider, นะครับ the first one the first one is that if you know the length or the specific number of width, นะครับ you can just like specify it. In order to just like set up the width, นะครับ when you know the number or the width in term of number, นะครับ you just like click on that column that you would like to just like set up the width, นะครับ right click, choose column width. It will tell you that okay, this is the current width 7.11 นะครับ this is the unit is point นะครับ not millimeter, not centimeter นะครับ so in this one, if I say that my column width is 15 points, I click OK. Yeah, you can see that right now it's wider นะครับ the width of the column C of mine is 15 points straight away. You can set up the width of many columns at the same time, นะครับ for example, if you want column B and C to have the same width, you highlight both columns first. In order to highlight the column, นะครับ you go to the column go to the column name, column B and column C, and then you just drag, นะครับ so it will highlight the whole column. Then you right click and choose column width. When you choose column width here, นะครับ it choose the adjustment of the width will be done on both column or on the columns that you choose. Right now, if I choose 2 columns and then I type column width 15, you can see that both columns B and C will have the same width straight away, นะครับ okay, this is the first way in order to set up the column width. Apart from that one, นะครับ what else? You can have the manually justification of the width of the column. In this one, suppose I say that I want to make column C to be wider. Then I choose column C first. And then I move the mouse pointer on the right border of the column C. You can see that right now, นะครับ the white cross, the white thick cross will be changed into 2 directional arrow cross, นะครับ in here it means that it's ready for you to just like set up the width. You can just like drag, นะครับ click and drag at the right border of that column, so the column is wider or narrower, depends on what you want. We apply this idea, นะครับ to the height of the row as well. For example, if I say that row number 4, I want to just like make it wider, I highlight the row first, like row number 4 here. I move the mouse pointer on the bottom border of row number 4. You can see that right now it shows as like 2 directional arrow cross as well, นะครับ then you can drag to make it higher, something like this, นะครับ okay, so if you want to set up the height, นะครับ by using like specifying the numbers, you can do it as well. Then you have to highlight the rows, right click and choose row height, and then you enter the number, นะครับ something like that. Okay, now let's see the last way in order to set up the width of the column. It is automatically justification of the width, นะครับ in here you just choose what column that you would like to justify the width. In this example, I would like to justify the width of column B and C automatically. Then I just highlight column B and C. Okay. And then I go to the border of column C. You can see that now the 2 directional arrow, นะครับ cross come here again now instead of dragging นะครับ you double click instead you can see that right now it's squeezing นะครับ and this is automatically automatic justification of the width you can see that there is no value that is hidden นะครับ or it's just like there is no hashes symbol because right now Excel is justifying the width of this column by itself how to Excel will just like consider นะครับ the value in that column first which value is the widest one for example in column B it consider that September November and December they are the longest text in this column so the width of the column will be justified to be a bit wider than these values นะครับ okay let's see if the original width is like this and if you would like to set up the width of column B you can see that right now most of the cells in these columns are just like hidden because it's go over the right border then if you double click then it just like push to the right hand side in order to just like see all the values in here นะครับ if you want to do column C it's the same thing right now it's shown as hatches you can just like click column C first and then double click on the right border นะครับ so all the numbers will be displayed properly in here so but what about column A if you do automatic justification of column A you can see that right now column A is quite wide even though number 1 to number 12 นะครับ they are just like a very little text just like 1 or 2 characters only why column A is very wide like this it's because this one ครับ in cell A2 นะครับ this is in column A as well and revenue for 2021 must be fitted in this column so that's why column A is just like set up to be wide like this but if you are not okay with it you can just like manually choose the width instead นะครับ so it depends on what you would like to have it okay now let's just like do the next thing okay so when you have the value like this already the next thing that we have to know is that when you have or when you need to have the calculation in Microsoft Excel นะครับ when you need to have the calculation in Microsoft Excel the things that you have to do is that Excel นะครับ you always start its calculation of function with equal sign with the equal sign in the cell นะครับ for example suppose you want to find out the value of 5 plus 3 you can see that if you type 5 plus 3 like this in Excel it show you just 5 plus 3 and also it is a text it is not a number the reason is because if you say that this is the addition of two values you always have to begin with equal sign so everyone just try ครับ enter equal sign and then 5 plus 3 ครับ you can see that these two cells นะครับ K4 and L4 they are similar but in the cell L4 I enter the equal sign in front of this 5 plus 3 then I get number 8 as a calculation you can see that in the cell L4 right now it shows the result นะครับ of the addition but if I want to see the original value of the cell L4 we just have a look on the formula bar and you can see that this value come from the calculation that is from 5 plus 3 นะครับ okay so it shows the formula of the calculation in here so this is the calculation in Microsoft Excel นะครับ we always begin with equal sign okay so now we will begin with the calculation of the revenue here assume that we would like to find out the revenue in Thai baht นะครับ assume that นะครับ we use the currency exchange นะครับ okay assume that currency exchange นะครับ is 32.15 บาท Thai baht per $1 นะครับ per $1 okay so in this one the way that we have to do is that we will have to start with the equal sign นะครับ and then we enter the number 1755 times 32.15 นะครับ okay then we get this value นะครับ next นะครับ we do the calculation for the next cell 1264555 times 32.15 like this so you can see that this is the basic calculation you can just like do like this multiply one value with another value type everything manually and after that when you finish you can set up the format of the cell actually the format of the cell can be pre-format นะครับ so that means if you know that all of the value in column D will be the what to say will be the currency in Thai baht นะครับ so you can highlight the cell ahead even though นะครับ in March to December we still don't have any calculation or any value before นะครับ you can just like preset the format then you just choose format cell choose currency and then this one is Thai baht already no yeah I want decimal places as well นะครับ and then I'll just like justify it later if none of them have the decimal places then I just like reduce the decimal places to be 0 later okay then I just click OK all right so right now I have the revenue for 2 months already you can do the rest of the thing until December ครับ but you can see that if you have to manually type everything by yourself it wastes a lot of time right you can see that for one cell you may have to spend 30 seconds or 20 seconds to type it that means just like 12 cell only you have to spend around a couple of minutes to fill up the data or to calculate the way that you have to that you can do and you should do นะครับ is easier than that we have to use นะครับ the idea that is what we call reference นะครับ reference let me just like talk about the referencing นะครับ for Microsoft Excel นะครับ we have two kind of reference นะครับ that I'll just like talk about it next on referencing is better for the referencing in Excel we have two kind of referencing the first one we call it as relative reference and second one is what we call absolute reference what are they what are reference referencing is the way that you refer to another cell นะครับ in your calculation or in your function นะครับ for example we said that we want to calculate the revenue in Thai baht by referring the revenue in US dollars นะครับ multiplied by 32.15 so the referencing here is the value from another cell okay. in here นะครับ how can we use the reference นะครับ when you use relative reference นะครับ the way to do is very easy you just click on the cell or you type the cell location in your formula so in here if you would like to multiply the revenue นะครับ of January by 32.15 you may just click นะครับ type equal sign first and then click on the cell that you want to refer so this one is equals to C5 นะครับ times 32.15 okay then you press enter then you get the value alreadyนะครับ you get value already C5 times 32.15 for the next cell the January the February's revenue in Thai baht you just put equal sign นะครับ and then you may type it by yourself C6 นะครับ times 32.15 you get this kind of thing okay right okay so these are just like the example of like using the relative reference นะครับ in order to calculate something why do we call it as relative reference actually this is the referencing but the way นะครับ or the reason why it is called as relative reference is because นะครับ is because when you just copy this formula นะครับ to other places the reference that you have got will follow นะครับ okay so everyone just like copy this cell นะครับ the first cell that I want you to just like do it first is you have to type the formula like my one นะครับ in this example is equals to C5 times 32.15 okay then I copy this formula นะครับ and then I just like go to paste on the cell D6 to D16 นะครับ okay and then I click paste you can see that okay how does Excel know that okay on February it has to be C6 times 32.15 because if you remember the value that we the cell that we enter was C5 times 32.15 but now it is C6 times 32.15 how does Excel know because this one is called as relative reference the address นะครับ or the cell location นะครับ is the relative ones when you copy the formula down for one row the value นะครับ of the cell location will be added by one more row too so from row 5 it will be added by 1 then you get C6 and after C6 this one นะครับ will be added by one more row to be C7 นะครับ so that's why we call it as the relative reference so for the relative reference if you copy this cell นะครับ the cell D5 to E5 this is copying as well นะครับ but anyway you have to be careful in this one when you copy นะครับ to another column นะครับ on the right hand side the column number in the formula will be added by 1 so you can see that the original formula is C5 when I copy it to another column on the right hand side it will be D5 instead นะครับ so this one is a relative reference but it is not correct one because we don't have anything in as D5 times 32.15 นะครับ this is not what we want in this case but I mean like for some other calculation it might be correct one but in this example we don't want it นะครับ the one that we want to have is like the revenue in Thai baht of each month that we would like to use the relative referencing we copy the same column นะครับ but in different rows in here the row number will be added this is what we want in this case okay so when we have the relative reference like this already นะครับ what's the next thing that you should know นะครับ okay so let's add some explanation a bit in the column heading here so in this one นะครับ in this one you can see that okay the text is very long นะครับ in column D if I try to set the column width to be like this is too long is too wide. So in this one, I'll say that I will just like use the idea of what we call wrap text. Wrap text means that we just try to squeeze the text in one cell to be in many lines. So in this one, I choose the cell D4, and then I go to home menu, choose wrap text. This one, you can see that, okay, in cell D4, it shows in many lines instead. Okay. So right now, you can see that the revenue in Thai baht in here. We try to just apply the idea of the relative reference to calculate. You can see that actually for each month, you multiply the revenue in that month by 32.15. The problem might exist that if the currency exchange is not 32.15, you may want it to be varied so that you can just like test for some of the ideas. For example, if we say that, hey, we found that actually the currency exchange of last year was not 32.15, but it is 32.72, something like that. What should we do? The things that you have to do if you just like use the multiplication between one relative reference with the constant number like this, you have to change 32.15 to be 32.76 every cell. That wastes our time. So in this one, suppose I say that, okay, I will just multiply C5, that is the revenue, by currency exchange that I typed it before in cell G1. You can see that this one looks better because if I just like can refer to the currency exchange cell like this, I don't need to type 32.15 for 12 times. And also, if the currency exchange is changed from 32.15 to be something else, I can just like change the value of currency exchange in one place only, and then it should update everything. Okay, this is the concept, the idea that I want to have. Then I just like press enter. Okay, for the first month, January, revenue in Thai baht is the same as the one that we manually type the constant 32.15 like this. Now, I will copy the formula to other cells. Actually, when you want to copy, you can just like you don't need to just like go to that cell, choose copy, and then choose other cell and paste. You may do like this, but actually we have easier way. In order to copy, you click on the cell that is original data. Then on the bottom right corner, you drag. This is the copying of the cell as well. Especially when you have the cell with the formula. Now, there's something wrong. What happened? On February to December, they show as 0. What's going on? Let's have a look. For the cell E5, it is C5 times G1. Okay, this one is correct. But when you go to February revenue, it is C6 times G2. On March, C7 times G3. This is the problem. Now, the problem is the latter term, that is currency exchange rate. Because actually, we would like to use G1. But now it goes to G2, G3, until G12 finally. That is not what we want. And this is the problem of relative reference. Because if the first cell that you calculate, use like the cell like G1 like this, relatively, when you copy the cell 12 rows below. From cell G1, it will be shifted down for 12 times to be G12 as well. This is not what we want, and it is a problem of the relative reference. So how do we gonna make G1 to be G1? Somebody said, oh, I don't know, then I will just like use the constant value 32.15 to multiply instead. But as I told you, when you type the constant value like this, sometimes it may cause a problem in that for the value like this, in the future, if you update the currency exchange, sometimes if you don't update every cell, some cells might have the wrong value. So that's why in here, you have to learn another concept of the relative, of the reference. That is what we call as absolute reference. Absolute reference is the way that we use the reference, but we use some absolute location of the cell, or the nickname for absolute reference is to lock the cell, not to be moved. So that means in this example, suppose you want to multiply the revenue by G1. You always want G1. You don't want G1 to be G2, G3, G4, and so on. So the way in order to make the cell G1 as the absolute reference, or to lock the cell G1, is that you have to apply. You have to apply the symbol. You have to apply the symbol. Just won't be long. You have to apply the symbol $sign on your formula when you refer to the cell G1, right? $sign G, $1. This is to lock the cell G1. You have to apply $sign in front of the column and the row of that cell. Some of the people, when they just like use $sign G1 here, you are using the absolute reference as well, but you lock just the column. Sometimes somebody just have G $sign 1. This is absolute reference as well, but you lock just row number 1, not to be moved. It depends on your application. There are 3 options to lock. You lock that cell, you have to apply $sign in front of the column and row. If you want to lock that column, you just apply $sign in front of that column. If you want to lock that row, you apply $sign in front of that row in the formula. So in here, let's see. The rest of them are wrong. I delete them first. From my original formula here, I want to fix or to lock cell G1 not to be moved. Then I have to apply $sign in front of column G and in front of row 1. That means I lock the cell G1 here. I press enter. I still get the same value. Now I copy this formula down. So you can see that right now all the cells are locked properly because the revenue in Thai baht from my manual calculation get the same result as the revenue in Thai baht when I just use the formula by just like multiplying the absolute reference already. Okay, right. So for the absolute reference and relative reference, do you have any questions, anyone? Okay. For the absolute reference, I have a shortcut for you. In order to use $sign or apply $sign to just like to be on that cell the shortcut is that if you use Windows-based computer you can just like go to that cell first. Okay, this is G1, right? Okay, and then move the mouse pointer and click on that cell first. นะครับ after that you press function key F4 นะครับ this one it show just like $G $1 for you and you can toggle among these three possible absolute reference นะครับ if you press function key F4 again it will be $1 again it is $G1 and again it is no lock นะครับ okay for Mac users you have to go to this cell and press function and then F4 นะครับ so that it just like lock the cell as well but if you can't remember you can just like type $ by yourself manually it is okay tooนะครับ okay right okay right now we get the absolute reference and relative reference already okay all right okay นะครับ so when you get the value like this นะครับ sometimes the location of the cells that you would like to calculate is located somewhere else นะครับ is located somewhere else I mean like in another worksheet you can also use the reference as well นะครับ for example นะครับ okay suppose I create a new sheet นะครับ okay so everyone just create a new sheet okay and then in this sheet I have the currency exchange rate in here okay. Assume that the average currency exchange for 2021 is 32.68 นะครับ I just put it here then นะครับ I just like use the formula นะครับ to calculate the revenue in Thai baht but right now I want to have the reference on sheet 3 นะครับ what should we do okay so you just like do everything as usual in this one I put equal sign C5 times sorry C5 times and then you just click on the sheet that you want to refer the value you know that C2 in this sheet is the cell that you want to refer you just click on this cell นะครับ and then you press enter then you get the revenue in Thai baht already นะครับ okay in here นะครับ let me do it again นะครับ I just use the formula use the calculation as usual นะครับ but when I want to refer to the cell in another sheet instead of just type the cell location I just click on that sheet and go to that cell that I want and then click on it press enter นะครับ so this is the way to do but be careful นะครับ you have to check on the formula too this one is C5 times sheet 3 exclamation mark C2 นะครับ so this one means that you want to refer to the cell in the sheet 3 นะครับ cell C2 value but this cell นะครับ is not the absolute reference if you just like copy this formula down the rest of them will be zero นะครับ because it will be just like C3 C4 C5 and so on then you have to lock the cell that you are referring from another sheet as well นะครับ in here right okay here all right okay so this is the way that we use the reference นะครับ in both relative reference and absolute reference okay okay then นะครับ everyone up to this point do you have any questions ครับ all right if you don't have any question here นะครับ we move on to the next thing that we know that we have to know for the sheet นะครับ right now I'm having sheet 1 and sheet 3 that doesn't have any meaning for me then I will rename the sheet นะครับ so that it will be just like understandable meaning in here นะครับ in order to rename the sheet you have 2 different ways to do the first one นะครับ you can right click on that sheet tab and choose rename นะครับ then it comes to the what to say gray bar นะครับ on the sheet name and then you can type the new name on it นะครับ or the second way you can double click on the sheet tab then it just like come to just like the renaming mode for you then you can rename that sheet as you want for example in here I will rename it as revenue 2021 and sheet 3 I want to rename this sheet as currency exchange 2021 when you rename นะครับ when you rename the sheet the formula will automatically adjust it for you now from sheet 3 it is currency exchange 2021 sheet for you instead นะครับ for every single cell that we have got right so when we have the thing like this already นะครับ okay the next thing that I'll just like I would like to show you is that when you would like to copy the sheet นะครับ to a new sheet you can also do it as well for example I may set up the template on this sheet and then I say that okay I will use this template on another sheet as well somebody said that oh then I just like highlight and copy what I have in this sheet and paste it in another sheet instead that is okay นะครับ but in case that you want to copy the whole sheet to a new sheet the way that we have to do is that you better copy the sheet นะครับ instead of just like select some of the cells only นะครับ in case that you want to copy the whole sheet to be in a new sheet นะครับ it's very easy to copy the sheet you just go to the sheet tab นะครับ for example in here I want to make another sheet called revenue 2020 นะครับ okay so I just right click on revenue 2021 sheet you see a menu move or copy right click move or copy ครับ okay so this one นะครับ it just asks us that okay where would you like to move or to copy to นะครับ in this one I just like still want it in my workbook นะครับ my first book.xlsx that is okay this place and then I just click create copy นะครับ I just click create copy so when I click create copy I click okay you can see that there is a new sheet creating call revenue 2021 in the parenthesis 2 something like this and I still have the original I still have the original revenue 2021 here so 2 sheets are absolutely identical okay so in this one for the newly copy worksheet I want it to be revenue 2022 revenue 2022 then I want you to clear the revenue in Thai baht out first and edit the heading a bit for revenue of 2021 column okay. Then I want you to do this for me, please. Okay, in here นะครับ you can see that we have the new value already นะครับ we in this one you can see that because we have the new setting in here นะครับ in column D we have revenue 2022 นะครับ in column E we have revenue 2022 in Thai baht นะครับ so what would I like you to do นะครับ I would like you to find นะครับ to calculate the revenue in 2022 column นะครับ it is 10% increasing from revenue 2021 นะครับ and also I want you to find revenue 2022 in Thai baht too นะครับ assume that the currency exchange นะครับ is here 32.77 นะครับ okay so everyone please complete column D and E for me นะครับ in here by yourself I'll give you 5 minutes นะครับ in order to complete column D and E นะครับ 5 minutes to complete column D and E so when you finish already นะครับ okay please type the formula for me นะครับ in the chat box so that I know what formula that you use okay for anyone who finished already please type the formula in the chat box นะครับ set it as the public นะครับ so that everyone will see it don't send it to me as the personal message นะครับ okay just do it now ครับ everyone so for this one นะครับ when you would like to find out the revenue นะครับ of 2022 you have to read for the requirement first it said that the revenue is 10% increasing from revenue of 2021 นะครับ okay so now there's one student just like sent me a private message already for the formula okay she said that revenue 2022 come from C5 times 1.1 okay yeah so this one is the increasing right so it is like equals นะครับ revenue in 2021 times 1.1 yeah that is correct one นะครับ somebody just put 0.1 or 10% only that is not correct นะครับ this is just 10% off this is just 10% of the revenue นะครับ not 10% increasing นะครับ so be careful นะครับ it must be 1.1 นะครับ okay right okay another student said that it is revenue in 2021 plus revenue of 2021 times 0.1 yeah you can just like do that as well นะครับ it is correct too so you might like do like this C5 plus นะครับ open parenthesis C5 times 0.1 yeah this one is okay too ครับ okay right okay so when we get this นะครับ already okay yeah for Supravi yeah that's correct too okay so when you get this already นะครับ we copy the formula down ครับ but one thing that you have to be careful is that the currency unit is wrong it must be dollar sign นะครับ because the previous one we format the cell to have like dollar sign to have Thai baht but right now it's in dollars we have to just like reformat the cell นะครับ to show as dollar sign instead นะครับ okay yeah and I don't want decimal points so for the shortcut if you don't want to have the decimal points you can go to home tab นะครับ and in the number group you can see that there are button นะครับ to decrease or to increase the decimal points you choose the cells that will be applicable first and in this one I say that I choose decrease decimal points นะครับ then it will be decreasing now นะครับ we get this one already the next one we will try to find the revenue นะครับ in Thai baht by multiplying with the currency exchange. Then I multiply the revenue นะครับ by currency exchange here นะครับ don't forget that if we don't make the cell G1 as the absolute reference นะครับ it will be the relative reference instead and the value will be wrong นะครับ in here. So the thing that we have to do is that you have to lock the cell by applying $sign to lock it นะครับ in here. And then now you can copy. Okay, so right now we have revenue 2022 and in both dollars units and Thai baht units already. So any questions? Do we still have anyone who still cannot do it? Okay. If no นะครับ okay, now you know already how do we gonna just like do the calculation นะครับ the basic calculation with the relative reference and absolute reference here. So the next thing that you should know นะครับ the next thing that you should know is that how do we gonna create a graph or chart นะครับ to display this value นะครับ to display this value. Okay, so firstly นะครับ assume that I would like to create the revenue นะครับ the chart of the revenue นะครับ for each month first นะครับ in here. You can see that in here if I would like to display the revenue of 2021 first, okay, with the month, I just highlight นะครับ the data and the headings นะครับ for the value that I want to create the chart. For example, in here I choose นะครับ month and revenue here. Next I go to insert and you can see that there is the chart นะครับ group in here. You can choose the chart that you want นะครับ or you can just like ask Excel to recommend you what kind of chart that Excel recommends for us นะครับ in here. So depends on what type of chart you want to นะครับ so this one is the art and science as well. When you choose the proper chart นะครับ it will be easier for the readers นะครับ or for just like the people who just like would like to just like use this data. For example นะครับ for me myself when I have just like 12 pieces of data like this, I prefer to use pie chart, but somebody said that no, we better just like use bar chart so that we can compare นะครับ it depends on your style in this one ครับ okay, now let's see, assume that I just choose let's see pie chart, how it will look like. So in this one if I use 2D pie chart นะครับ it will look like this, or I can use the 3D pie chart, that is okay too. But it seems like when it doesn't have much difference, you can see that if you see the chart นะครับ each slice of the chart look almost similar นะครับ look almost the same. So I think in this example นะครับ when the size of the each slice นะครับ of chart doesn't make any difference นะครับ we better use like other kind of chart. It should be better. In here when I use the recommended chart, okay, I may use this one ครับ I may use a line chart, the basic line chart. In here it will ask you that okay, for this kind of chart นะครับ this is just like what we get. You can just like set up the charts how it look like. Okay, in here. So in here นะครับ the heading will become นะครับ the heading will become the name of the chart. For the components in the chart you can just change, you can add the things that you want to have นะครับ as you like. You can just like move นะครับ the display text as well นะครับ in order to just like setting your chart นะครับ you just click on the chart and then on the right hand side you see the data sorry you see the buttons in here. For example, if you click plus, it asks you that, okay, what are the components that you want to add in or you want to hide it. For example, in here the axis title doesn't show up. If you want axis title as well, you can just like put here, and then you can just like type in what you the text that you want to show นะครับ okay, or data label as well นะครับ it will show just like every single piece of data that you have นะครับ but in this one it makes your chart messy. That's why the recommended chart, it try to just like remove the data label for you นะครับ okay, if you want to include data table, you can do it as well นะครับ if you want the legend นะครับ like revenue 2021 in this line, you can do it as well นะครับ or trend line นะครับ you can add it into this chart too. Okay, so this is the chart that we have got. If you would like to change the chart to be other type นะครับ you don't need to delete this chart away นะครับ you can just like click on this chart นะครับ and then just choose some other chart type instead. For example, if I say that I want it to be other kind of chart like this instead, you can see that right now the chart is changed to be bar chart already นะครับ depends on what you want. Okay, so in this one นะครับ this is revenue 2021. After that, if I want to have revenue 2022, what should I do? Hang on. Line chart. Okay. Yeah. For revenue 2022 นะครับ sometimes นะครับ somebody just like want to compare revenue 2021 and 22 together นะครับ you can just like choose 3 columns in here นะครับ and then you can just like create a chart นะครับ that you want to have like this. But some of the people said that they would like to have just, okay, in this one you can just choose to show just 2021 or 2022 as well นะครับ okay, depends on you. For some of the people, they said that what about like showing the chart just 2022, what should I do นะครับ or somebody said, oh, I want to show revenue of 2022 in Thai baht for each month only. What should I do? Because the column to show the month and revenue in 2022 in Thai baht are just like not continuous. It's just B and column B and column E. The way that we do is that, okay, we just highlight the first column of the data first. Okay. Now I want column E. What should I do? In here, you can see that you cannot just like continuous dragging, because otherwise it will include revenue 2021 and 2022 in dollar sign. The way in order to do is that after you highlight the month already, you press control button, keep pressing control button, sorry, keep pressing control button and then drag revenue in Thai baht. Now you get like 2 different columns นะครับ that doesn't need to be continuous column or adjacent column. Okay, let me do again. I choose month, then I press control button and choose revenue by dragging it. Now I have like 2 different columns in just like non-continuous column already. Then I can just like insert the new chart as I like. This one. Okay. Okay. So when we have this kind of charts already นะครับ you can see that if you have a look, there are 3 charts all together in one sheet. Sometimes นะครับ if you would like to move the chart นะครับ into another worksheet, you can do it as well นะครับ For example, suppose I said that the revenue in 2022 in Thai baht, I want it to be in another worksheet. What should I do? Don't use cut and paste นะครับ We will move the chart by just like using the function in Excel to help นะครับ In order to move the chart to another place, firstly, you have to click on the chart that you want to move first. For example, I want to move the revenue into in 2022 Thai baht out นะครับ So when I want to move it นะครับ I have to go to design menu นะครับ You have to click on the chart first, then the design menu will just like come in. Otherwise, there is no design menu นะครับ When you choose design menu already, on the right hand side, the rightmost button is move chart. You click move chart, and then you choose นะครับ what kind of the location that you want this chart to be. You want it to be on a new sheet, or you want it to be just an object. Object is just like a chart that like look like this on other sheets. Something like this. Then you choose the sheet that you want it to be. In this one, suppose I say that, okay, I want to just create a new sheet นะครับ and I want to name the chart as revenue 2022 Thai baht chart. Then I click OK. So you can see that right now they come with the new sheet นะครับ called revenue 2022 Thai baht chart นะครับ only no data in here. It's just showing the chart for you. This is good whenever you would like to show it on the screen and you don't want to just like let the audience to be distracted. You may just like separate the chart like this, or in terms of printing นะครับ if you want to print by having this chart only, it will just like use up the whole page of your paper to print out นะครับ so it depends on what you want นะครับ okay right. And if you don't want it anymore นะครับ to be in this sheet, you can move it back to be the object in the previous other worksheet that you have got as well นะครับ Then this one, if I just like move it back to be an object in revenue 2022 นะครับ, you can see that it's back already นะครับ it's back already, and the chart worksheet is disappear นะครับ So this one, it depends on what you want, because if you just like have many charts in the same sheet like this, once you print นะครับ you can see that it use many sheets, and then it use many sheet of papers or even it is a PDF file, and it is just like quite difficult to see that, okay, which page come first, which page come next นะครับ This is the way that we use the chart. So for the chart, I want you to just like practice by yourself นะครับ because I mean like when you really have to use the chart, you better have a look นะครับ that okay, this kind of data in what kind of chart that should match with this kind of data นะครับ because in the future in this one it is just like a soft skills นะครับ you get it from practicing that, okay, you can see just this data นะครับ in that match with this kind of chart นะครับ because I mean like you can see that when I show you originally, for example in here I told you that I want to have a pie chart, but when I just like really try to use a pie chart to show this data, you can see that the pie chart is not effective because the pie chart นะครับ each slice look very similar, so I cannot distinguish the revenue of each month. I don't see the trend because this one is span from Jan to December of 2021, let's say. in this one. So that's why if I use line chart or bar chart, it should be better. So that's why it depends on just like your expertise. If you practice more, you see more, you understand more that okay, what kind of chart that is good in this situation, something like that. Somebody said that they avoid to use chart and then they just use the table like this to present. That is not a good idea. I don't recommend, because actually when you have the chart, chart is the tools that we call it as visualization tool. It's a kind of visualization tool. It makes your audience to see and understand your data in a glance. For example, once you show this chart in the meeting room screen, okay, let's see. They see immediately that which month is the month that you get the lowest revenue. In here, you can see that it should be around February. But if you see just the table, in here, you have to just like scan through and compare. It wastes more time. So that's why I prefer the data visualization than just the table of numbers like this. Right. Okay then. This is about the charts in Microsoft Excel. So up to this point, do you have any questions, anyone, about the chart? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, I have two things to just like let you do before we finish the class today. So firstly, hang on, let's see. Okay, so firstly, I want to ask you, Setanan asked me that could you remake the two-layer chart? Which one, which two-layer chart? This one, right? Okay, so this one is easy. You just choose the chart type as you want. In here, I just choose, let's say, I highlight the cells that I want to make it as a data in my chart. After that, I go to insert. And then I just like choose the chart type that I want. In here, I just like, because I'm not sure which one will be matched with like this kind of data, then I just begin with the recommended chart first. And then I see which one that should be good for my data here. Then I may choose this one, the stack area. Or I said, I think if I use cluster column, it might be easier because it compare month by month. Then you may just like use like this. It depends on what you want. Okay. Right. Okay. So for the poll that I asked you to do, that means okay, 88% of you would like me to continue the lecture and finish the class earlier. That means starting from the next class we will continue the lecture. If you want to go to have a restroom break, you can go anytime. And then we will finish the class earlier. We will finish the class earlier. That means at 9:40 I will finish the class. And for the make-up class time I will check from the schedule that you just like do it for me. Please do it today so that I can finalize it and let you know on the next class that okay, which day, if we need to have the makeup class, what day that most of you will be available. Okay, right. Okay then everyone, up to this point, do you have any questions? So if you don't have any question could you please turn on your camera everyone? Okay, Sachin, Pim Pakan, Clay and Punawat, please turn on your camera. Okay then นะครับ so I get just like I see all of your pictures already. Everyone is okay now. Okay, so we'll meet each other again on next Monday นะครับ so just like practice for what we learned today นะครับ including the graph as well, because I mean like it will be useful for you when you have to just like create a graph in the near future นะครับ because I mean like graph or chart is one kind of the data visualization tools that will be useful for you instead of showing just the numbers on the table นะครับ and also just like practice on what to say the relative reference นะครับ and absolute reference that we studied today นะครับ okay so okay นะครับ everyone you have a nice day นะครับ take care and stay safe นะครับ see you on next Monday ครับ everyone bye bye ครับ take care everyone bye bye
Sir?
yes
I wasn't here on the first class, but I tried to go back and watch the video, the lecture, but it says that the video is private and I can't watch it, so I'm not sure.
yeah it will be just like live on noon around noon today
No, I meant the first class.
yeah on the first class
The Monday one?
yeah
Oh, okay. Thank you.
you're welcome
อาจารย์คะ
yes ครับ
คือหนูจะเปลี่ยนภาษาค่ะ แต่ว่าพอกดเปลี่ยนแล้วมันไม่เปลี่ยนให้ต้องทำยังไง
เปลี่ยนภาษาไหนครับ
ใน Excel อะค่ะ คือของหนูมันเป็นภาษาไทยแล้วหนูจะเอาให้มันเป็นภาษาอังกฤษอะ
Excel บนอะไร Mac Windows 365
Windows ค่ะ
บน Windows ใช่ไหมครับ เดี๋ยวอาจารย์หาวิธีให้อาจารย์ไม่เคยเปลี่ยนกันเพราะตอนเซตอัพก็เซตเป็นภาษาอังกฤษของคุณน่าจะเซตเป็นภาษาไทยมันก็เลยโชว์เป็นภาษาไทยแต่มันจะเปลี่ยนได้เดี๋ยวอาจารย์หาให้
ได้ค่ะ คือหนูลองกดแบบหาในอินเทอร์เน็ตแล้วเขาก็บอกว่าให้กดแบบเลือกตรงออปชันแต่ว่าคือเหมือนกับว่าพอกดเปลี่ยนไปแล้วค่ะ คือมันก็ขึ้นว่าเป็นแบบอังกฤษแต่ว่ามันก็ยังเป็นภาษาไทยอยู่หนูก็
ห
เล
มาย
ย
ถึง
แบบ
เมนูเป็นภาษาไทยใช่ไหม
แค่ตรงแถบบาร์เลยอะค่ะ เป็นภาษาไทย
โอเค
ทั้งหมดเลย
ของคุณ Excel เวอร์ชันอะไรครับ
Excel เวอร์ชันไม่แน่ใจค่ะ
กด help about ครับ
แป๊บนึงนะคะคอมพิวเตอร์มันอัปเดตอยู่งั้นเดี๋ยวครั้งหน้าก็ได้ค่ะ
ได้ครับคุณต้องบอกข้อมูลอาจารย์ไม่งั้นอาจารย์จะดูให้คุณไม่ได้ว่ามันต้องทำยังไงเพราะแต่ละเวอร์ชันจะทำไม่เหมือนกันนะครับตอนคุณปิด Excel แล้วสตาร์ทขึ้นมาใหม่มันก็จะขึ้นเวอร์ชันเหมือนกัน ตรงที่เป็นกรอบสี่เหลี่ยมว่า Excel ครับแค่นั้นเองนะ
เดี๋ยวหนูลองหาวิธีเดี๋ยวขอบคุณค่ะ
ได้ครับสวัสดีครับ
ค่ะ